Hi, my name is Paddy Hirsch. I'm a Senior Editor at Marketplace, and today I want to talk a little bit about what's called the over-the-counter market. The reason it's become important for us to talk about this is because the over-the-counter market is where credit default swaps are traded, and credit default swaps have been blamed for some of the problems that we've had with the financial markets, and so people are very curious about what the over-the-counter market is and how it differs from a regular exchange. So let's have a look at the over-the-counter market and compare it to an exchange, and as a device, we'll use an apple. So you want to buy an apple. And here's our apple buyer. His name is Sam. And he can go to two places. He can either go to the Apple Exchange, or he can go to the over-the-counter market in apples to buy an apple. And in the Apple Exchange, you have a number of apple traders. They are sitting at their booths. And they'll sell you certain types of apples depending on what the exchange allows them to sell. And this particular exchange, for example, sells Gala apples, it sells Granny Smiths, and it sells Fuji's. So when you go to the exchange, you can buy these apples. The great thing about going to the exchange is that you know, firstly, the provenance of the apples, because the apples, the people who sell them report to the exchange and tell them what's in each of the apples and where they came from. So you've got some security there. But you also know that you're going to get a fair price, because all of these apple sellers, as soon as they sell a certain type of apple, they publish the price, and the prices are posted. So for a pound of Gala apples, say, it's 50 cents. For a pound of Granny Smiths, it's 25 cents. Say for a pound of Fuji's, it's $1. So when you go to any of these apple traders, when Sam goes to any of these apple traders at the Apple Exchange, he can see how much the apples are going to cost. And depending on demand and depending on supply, those prices will rise and fall. So there's a lot of security when you go to the Apple Exchange. The other place, of course, that Sam can go is to the over-the-counter market. Now, the difference between the exchange and the over-the-counter market, clearly you have sellers, and they're selling apples in the over-the-counter market. But the first thing is, they're not all in the same place. They can be all over the city, they can be all over the country, they can be wherever the apple sellers might be, and because they're not in the same place, you don't know, or it's less easy for Sam to walk around and know how much, say he wants to buy a pound of Fuji apples. It's more difficult for him to find out the fair price for a pound of Fuji's. So for example, trader number one might sell him Fuji's at $1 a pound. Trader 2 might be selling it at 75 cents, and Trader 3 might be selling it at $1.50. And unless he walks around the town and finds all of these apple sellers and compares prices, he's not going to know, whether or not he's getting a fair price or not. Whereas if he's in the exchange, he knows he's not getting ripped off because everyone's posting. The second issue with the over-the-counter market is that these chaps don't just sell apples; they can sell anything. They can sell pears and they can sell cherries. If you're in the securities market, talking about the securities market, they can sell futures, they can sell options, they can sell penny shares, they can sell credit default swaps. So this is the second issue with the over-the-counter market is you don't know necessarily who's going to be selling you what and in what kind of packages. I mean, you can go to trader number one and you can buy a bag of apples with a few cherries mixed in as a sweetener, and he can give you all sorts of discounts. You might not get the same kind of deal from trader number 2 and trader number 3. So clearly there are advantages with buying fruit in the over-the-counter market or securities in the over-the-counter market as well. But there are downsides, especially when it comes to the credit default swap market, because credit default swaps are insurance. So say, for example, Sam wants to go to trader number 1 and he wants to buy, say, a credit default swap in Ford. Say he's buying insurance in Ford Motor Company. What he doesn't know, firstly, he doesn't know who else this trader has been dealing with. For all he knows, this trader could have gone out and bought an enormous amount of some other penny stock or some other type of security, which is falling very sharply in the market. Now, Sam is buying insurance from this guy, but he doesn't know how exposed to certain other securities or how safe this seller is. So if there is a problem with Ford and he needs to be paid out on that insurance, there's no guarantee that this trader is even going to be around at that point. He may collapse like Lehman Brothers did and not be able to pay the insurance because he's been brought low by certain other types of securities or problems in the market. And then Sam is going to find that he's completely out of luck. The second issue is that he doesn't know what other kind of deals this trader has done. This trader could be buying insurance in one place and selling insurance in another. He could be involved in all sorts of different securities. So there's real uncertainty in the over-the-counter market. Now, for some types of security, it's not really a problem. Penny stocks, or for example, futures or options, that reduces the problem. But when it comes to insurance, people are beginning to get extremely worried about the over-the-counter market, the lack of transparency, and the lack of knowledge about who the counterparties, the people who are doing the buying and selling, the lack of knowledge about those. The other thing that's causing people some concerns about the over-the-counter market is particularly in credit default swaps and these types of exotic insurance, is that we don't know how much has been sold. When you're in the exchange and you're buying apples, you know how many apples have been sold, to whom, and for how much. When you're buying credit default swaps or anything else in the over-the-counter market, you don't know who's buying, you don't know how much they're buying, or at what price. So, for example, in the case of credit default swaps, the estimation is that there may be as much as $64 trillion worth of insurance written. But nobody really knows that because the over-the-counter market is unregulated, it's uncontrolled, and it's pretty much a free-for-all where people can do whatever they want. So when you have counterparties who are in danger of collapsing, and you realize that you've written insurance or you have an insurance contract with one of those counterparties, you start to see them go under and realize that if there is a problem, you're not going to get your money. People start to look at the credit default swap market and look at the over-the-counter market, and they realize that it could be leaving them very soon in desperate need of a drink.